Hello, welcome to Bottles to Consider. So today we are going to look at the Fellow, that's the brand, the Fellow Carter Move. Really know where Carter comes from as part of the name, but it's a Fellow Carter Move plus the slide and lock lid, which we'll get into. As always, so often with these bottles, the story's really in the lid. But before we get to that, we'll get into a little bit of the bottle itself. I gotta say, overall, it's a very pleasing shape. The roundedness at the corner, it's like one notch more rounded than a lot of other bottles. And it adds just an interest. And it still lays super flat. I was a little nervous. It was so round it was gonna kind of warble, but it doesn't. Or it does a little bit, but never in a way that I feel like concerned it's gonna tip. It's got a very nice matte black finish. So some things I like about this, aside from the general look, I mean that obviously you'll have your own preferences, but you can see it here, get a sense of if you like it or not. I mean the angle too is kind of pleasant, but again, we'll get to the lid. Keeps things warm as well as anything else. It's a double-walled, insulated sort of mug. I like that its capacity, it's marketed as a 16 ounce, but it actually holds a little more than that, more like 18, maybe even a touch more. Now, one thing that's a little strange before we get into the lid, the inside has a ceramic coating, which they claim keeps it from smelling as much as stainless steel. I haven't noticed, in day-to-day use, if I rinse it out with soap and water, it still smells like coffee. So I haven't noticed some like amazing transformation in the retention of odors. Maybe it's better over time, but I also get a little concerned, like, could that scrape off over time? And then you have ceramic little coating bits that you're drinking, which, is probably fine. It just feels a little like, with stainless steel you're getting, the pros, the cons. You can see some other videos I'll link to for how to clean it actually quite well, but it's been a little bit time tested. Whereas this, I'm a little bit more like, in 4 years, is this gonna be like scraped up on the inside? I don't know, so I don't love that, but if you're sold on sort of the idea that the ceramic coating will make it last longer or make it smell less, then, that could be a pro. But here's what we really need to talk about for assessing this bottle, which is the lid. Put the lid back on and we'll just take a little tour of the outside. There's a little dimple. As you can see also, it's kind of angled, which again adds like a nice distinctive look. But to open this, sort of just press down and whoa. What's cool is that the first time you approach this bottle, you might not know what to do. And you see this little dimple and you'll naturally want to push down, and the geometry of it sort of forces it into a swooping motion. And it's satisfying. I will say, if you own this bottle or even if you just use it for a little while, you will find yourself doing that motion just for fun. It just feels nice. Might be a novelty that wears off over time, but it's certainly distinctive and pleasant. But I'm mixed on it overall. Why, you ask? A couple reasons. I would say the main one is that when you push this open, I just think this looks kind of weird and just a little busy and a little precarious. Like this could fall off. It's like someone's wearing a baseball cap backwards, and this you want to just knock off, and it doesn't knock off, but it just looks that way. From here, it's like, kind of looks like a Venn diagram, and so if it doesn't bug you, don't worry about it. It doesn't degrade the performance at all. My only concern from a performance perspective is that this little lip might lend itself to getting knocked, to being a spot where you could knock the bottle. I have not encountered that so far, so maybe it's not a thing, but it just looks like it, and that makes me feel not great. Now, the problem this lid claims to solve is that it allows for sort of one-handed locking and unlocking. So you're holding it And you know, it's not perfect, but you can kind of pretty easily just with one hand sort of do that. If it's in your cup holder in your car, you can just kind of go like that. Which like I get. I do think though, flipping, you know, like older coffee mug styles that just maybe have like a flip that flips up and back are equally one-handed, if not more. So it's not like this was a problem that never had a solution, but this does it in a novel and interesting way. So I guess that's something, but the end result, this just kind of doesn't work for me. To its credit, it's quite leak-proof. You know, not 100%. I wouldn't put it upside down in a bag with your birth certificate, but it like, you can feel safe if it's sitting in a bag, if it's vaguely right side up or tilts briefly for a second, you know, you can feel safe with that. If it was 100% leak-proof and this easily one-handable open close, that would be something, but it's not 100%. So then it puts it in a category that has a lot of bottles. At that point, I think there are ones that are just a little easier to use, a little more like, I don't know, something about this shape just gives me a little heebie-jeebies or something. I mean, I think that's a strong reaction, but if I'm really digging deep on why this bottle is not clicking for me, it's something happening for me emotionally up here. It's a subjective issue I'm having with this bottle mostly. Most of the features are quite good, and the issues are not proving themselves to be real problems operationally. It's just how I feel about it. So on that note, another good thing, this lid is disassemblable. I'm not gonna do it, but it's quite easy. You there's like a little pin in here. You kind of pull it. It's a little spring loaded. You pull it a little, and then that can just slip off. And then from there, oddly, you need there's like a flathead slotted thing right there that you need to twist somehow. They recommend using like a coin, like a dime or something like that. I'm like, that's a little weird, but it's very easy to do. You can also find an instruction thing on YouTube. After you do it once, it's a total non-issue. It comes into 4 parts, totally cleanable. So I love that. The leak proof and cleanableness puts it in a really top tier to me. So worth thinking about. Another thing I love is if you're drinking it without the lid, this kind of swoopy little shelf right here, it's threaded on the inside. This swoopiness right here, oh man, it just fits on my lip so well. It's really a joy to drink from without a lid. And then one quick other con that's lid related, this shape, unfortunately, especially when you do that, my nose hits this in a way that makes me have to do the classic sort of, you know, which is annoying because this angle should make it really friendly for a nose to not bump into. But when you do that, you kind of change the geometry of the lid, and now my nose is bumping on that. I can't say it's gonna happen for you, but if you've had that issue before with mugs, there's a strong possibility it might happen with this one. One final con is that there is a sort of wheezing that can come, an audible hissing wheezing that can come out of the lid when there's hot liquid in it and it's in the closed position. And I think it's because it's just slightly open somehow. And that's sort of another thing with the lid, as quality as the entire piece feels, there's sort of there's play. And not just in the direction that's designed. It kind of, and that feels to me a little like, you know, at this price point, which is in the like $30 range, $35 on Fellow's website, I want this to feel, I want it to inspire. And something about shakiness on the lid, you know, again, just subjectively, it gives the feeling of something's not dialed in right. And then also that there's a weird little hissing. And you know, maybe I'll put a little video just quickly that I took of when this was sitting at my desk with the hissing to give you a sense. Okay, so there you have it. The Fellow Carter Move plus the slide lock lid. I'd say overall, if you like the look and like the vibe, it is about as good as any other insulated bottle in this price point that isn't 100% leak proof. If you require 100% leak proof, if you require the bottle to be cheaper, or if the lid sort of makes you feel a little uncomfortable, then, you know, probably not for you. But if those things aren't all concerns, it is nice to hold. It does all the water things well. It's definitely worth considering, as we do on this channel. I'll have links to this and any other videos or products I mentioned in the show notes. And, you know, if you're interested in those products, you know, clicking on those links really helps me. It helps support the channel and lets me do more of these videos. So please, you know, use those links and, you know, be sure to like and subscribe and all the things if you enjoy these videos. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.